Hello and welcome to Teaching Technology, Coding with TypeScript. First, let us install some of the packages. So the first package that we're going to need to install is TypeScript. We're using the command npm install -g TypeScript. Let's just clear this, make it look a little prettier. The next command that we're going to need to install is node.ts. Let's Google that. And we have that pulled up right here, npm its-node. I already have that installed, but this is the next command. This link will be in the description. Let's get into the code. So TypeScript is a statistically typed language, which means that we have to define our types. What are some types? So the first type is number. The second type is a string. So let's just do Roger. Let's call that a name. And the final type today will be a Boolean. This is just a fancy way of saying a true or false variable. And that's a Boolean, and we're going to set that to true. Next, let's do some functions. Our first function is just a simple addition function. We're going to take two numbers, A and E, and we're just going to add these numbers together. Our next will be type annotation. So we'll take our function description, our ID number, and our name string. Just set it to void. Actually, no, let's not do that. We'll do addition. And this is done in JavaScript as well. And our final type is the any type. And basically, or our final annotation is the any, which basically just means that it can be any type. So you have our variable A, and we can just set that to an empty string. And I know that you can go without using the semicolon, but it's good practice to remember it. Next, let's work with interfaces. If you are familiar with any kind of object-oriented programming using C++, maybe Golang, you're familiar with interfaces. Let's do an interface for, it's Christmas time, so let's do Christmas shopping list. And we'll just do items, and we'll do that as a string array. And we're going to use our let keyword. Actually, you know what? Just to make it simpler for you guys, let's just do a string of items. and we'll do let new item. We'll denote our Christmas shopping list with empty brackets. Wait, no, I'm sorry. I think you'd put them in the brackets. No, I'm sorry. I was right the first time. We'll do item, new item, dot item, and we'll just say a bike. And then we'll console.log, new item. And let me show you how to run this. So because we downloaded node.ts, we can just run it from our IDE. And it's telling me unexpected token. So let's check it out. It's always good practice to Google all of your errors. Maybe it ran it as JavaScript. Let's see what happens. Because it doesn't seem as if we have any errors here. And let's Google this. Subsequent variable declarations must have the same types. Oh, I think I might have called age twice. So it did run this time. So basically what it was saying is that because we just have 3 subsequent variables, they all need to be the same type. Interesting. Let's actually read a little bit more up on that. So it's always good to Google. Google is your best friend in this game. I had a quote that always stuck with me as a former business partner of mine. He said, it's all about the art of query. I think that's very pivotal in this field, is the better you are at Googling, the better at programming you'll be. So they're telling me here, again, it's not a big error. It's really nothing to fret about, but it's always good practice to Google. So what it's telling me is to update all the packages. So I'm just going to do npm install here. And while that is working, let me just show you what happens when you do run it successfully. What happens is that TypeScript will actually compile your code into a different version. And then we're going to get the same error that we got last time, which is basically saying that when it does compile, it's running a duplicate function in JavaScript. So what you can do is you can either just delete that JavaScript file, or you could just comment it out. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to comment those functions out. And basically that command, if you're not familiar with it, if you've done anything in JavaScript, you probably are. This is a multi-line comment. Basically what it is it's the slash button. That's where your question mark is, denoted by the multiplication sign, that's shift 8, followed by the multiplication sign and that same slash. And that's how you comment out functions. And let's go over a few more things. So let's go over the difference between let and var. Then we'll run a couple more functions, and that will be about it. So the difference between var and let, as you notice, we've been using a lot of var and we manually use let. This let keyword right here basically denotes that this new item variable is going to change. Once you use the var keyword, it denotes that the variable does not change. So let's run about a couple more functions and then we'll wrap it up. Let me find a good one. You know what, instead of doing functions, let's show you an enum. So this is an enum that's unassigned, and basically an enum works similar to an object. The thing is, with an enum, all of the types are the same. So we'll just do ratings. First, second, third, and fourth. As you know, you don't want to be second, because according to Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, then you're last. So let's do that one finally. And this basically will denote as such 0, 1, and so on, all the way into this last element right here. Notice that you start with 0. That's because the way the JavaScript and TypeScript compiler works is that the first element is the 0 element. So the next enum is a string element. So in honor of Ricky Bobby, let's do NASCAR. Actually, let's go back to our Christmas example. Let's do Christmas movies. First one's one of my favorites, and that's Elf. Another one that I think is a classic, and that's It's a Wonderful Life. This next one right here, arguably not a Christmas movie, but this is not the time and place for that, and that's Die Hard. And then finally, we'll do Home Alone. Actually, let's do our last one, which is Christmas Story. And the way that we would call our enum is this way right here, where we're going to call the enum name followed by the variable. You can also call it similar to an object, and we'll get to that, but let's do the first one right here. So we'll do Christmas movies .elf. And the other way to do that, like I said, is similar to an object, and we'll call an array of Die Hard, which will be our 0, 1, our second element. And finally, or next we'll do, let's go to a switch statement. So basically the switch statement works is where we're going to have some kind of argument, and then we'll have cases, and each case will be followed by a break statement. And before our switch statement, we have to denote this string, or in this case, it's going to be a string. So we have our case 1, which is team lost. And like I said earlier, we have our break statement. It's because we don't want to have any infinite loops. Although this does not work similarly to Python, it's always good to have our great design as far as indentations. Next one is team 1. We're going to console.log w. Again, it's always best practice to remember our semicolons. And then our break statement, and then finally, which is optional, but it's always good to have a default case. And then we have our break statement. Next, let's do an overload function, and then we'll close with class. And our overload function will be This is basically when we can have the same function name but just have different types within our function. Let's do any. And we can have this same function, but we can just make it two strings. Denote the type. Let me look up function overloading. I'm sorry. I think function overloading is actually a no-no. Sorry about that. I was looking at my notes. So you can have the function have the same name, but they have to have different types. And I guess because it's an any and a string. So best practices, I would just avoid it. And finally, let's go over trees. And classes. I do want to use a blockchain example, but let me not confuse you. And let's just go back to a Christmas example. Let's do class Christmas name. Let's do gift. Make it a string. Actually, yeah. Now we have our constructor. We want to put that inside of the class. this.gift equals gift. And now let's extend that class, and within that let's do class present, and we'll do volume, which is a number. Just like in our last class, we'll do a constructor. And we got to use our super keyword. Oop, sorry about that. Do this dot volume equals volume, similarly to our other constructor. Do a wish list function that will return void. So this equals this dot gift actually no, we're going to continue with that. This dot gift, just trying to think of how I want to structure this sentence. And then finally, let's call our interface class. Similarly to before, let's use the let keyword. And we'll do video games. We'll do 5. Oh. There we go, I messed up the order. And we'll do gifts. Wish list. And let's run it. Let's try to run it again. Should be good to go. Oh. Let's try to use the let keyword and see what happens. Bam. We know it compiled because everything's running. And for some reason, you get a lot of these errors in TypeScript, and I will research that for the next tutorial. But everything ran. Oh, no, you still got this same error. But everything ran in the JavaScript. And that's the thing, you run the JavaScript, as you can tell, the JavaScript worked here. That's basically what TypeScript does. Well, that's it for that. In the next tutorial, we will get down and dirty with using TypeScript with React. Like and subscribe for more content.